hear that it doesn't feel like it's working. Fingers crossed she works this time. Is it working now? Let's have a look. Give us a up or down, because I can't actually hear. Yep. Cooper Dien is saying I. Fugly's saying, is it working now?
Don't mention the war.
All good, says Fugly.
Don't mention the
war. How's your word? Back.
Sorry gotcha, lads. Team. Bizarre.
I'm telling you, man, it's got to do with something that we say that triggers the algorithm. Exactly.
So bizarre. So bizarre. Yeah, don't mention the war. Good point, Dave D.
You just mentioned it. So here's one for you. Okay.
Strange. Very strange.
Let the people know, the good people of the stream, and for those that are just tapping in now that don't watch the first version of this, again, we've said one of the magic words. The algorithm has said Kibosh Kaz and Aaron. So we're back. Bick, for the New Zealanders that are watching like JC, I hope your shoulder feels a little bit better, my man, for the thin blue line. Can you tell the guys a little bit about your experiences with
Yes,
Special
I apologise
Forces.
about this Matrix bullshit. I just saw there, Brody Higgins, you're an air dispatcher. Yep, I'll talk about that in a sec, mate. Are we still connected?
Yeah.
So I did that for, I think, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was about 14 years, and I was a corporal for about 6. And as I said before, it was a perspective that I had seen from the Army that I really appreciated. And to be quite truthful, I still would have been there today. And I miss it and I don't, because I've moved on with my life. And I discharged there in 2016, medically discharged. I was well worn out years before that. Like, I had 4 knee operations. I've had 3 back surgeries. I have C2 to C7 completely out, requires a fusion, which I've said no. I need surgery in both feet. Both my arches have collapsed. I've got multiple injuries that I could just crack on about for ages. So the wheels of the bus for me flew clean off many years ago, and I was trying to hang on. And then mentally, the wheels of the bus flew off, and I was trying to hang on. And then eventually, it was just like, done. And that's it. So, and I accepted that. I probably knew I was done 5 years before I was medically discharged. So, and you know in your own mind's eye, and you know within your own heart that when you're done, you're done. You know. And I gave, as I've said to a lot of my friends, I left no stone unturned. I was 2 operations to East Timor, multiple operations to the Middle East, including Afghanistan. You know, loved it. And it was the best. It was some of the best times of my life, some of the hardest times of my life. But overall, you know, like, it's an incredible experience. And to anyone that wants to join, I commend you, and do it with everything that you've got. And
it's your life, isn't it?
It's your whole. It's your whole life. People say, you might see them ads that people say it's not just a job, because it's not just a job, and a lot of jobs are jobs, and that's true. But this is all life encompassing. It's like every element, especially when you go into operations and you're confronted with situations that are very hard and extreme. It brings out the person in you that you may not have known. And it's how you react and respond to all those situations is what makes you the soldier.
Well, you could say to people, once if you get to the stage where you're saying the military is just a job, it's probably time to get out, because you're probably stepping in the shoes of someone that could be more motivated and be giving back to the team. Because the military, we make up all this bullshit about what's important, and a lot of it's around paperwork, when the most important thing about military is 1, capability, and 2, leadership. If you have leadership and you have capability of the soldiers, we're the army that is known that can do more with less. But if you are the mental stick in the mud, so to speak, it's time to roll the fuck on.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're blocking the army from being everything that it can be. And that's why I get angry with anything to do with quota. That's why I get angry with anything to do with lowering the standards, because all of that does is just drag us closer to an L instead of a W the next time we go and fight, and parents start receiving letters from the hierarchy, the ADF, from commanders, from lieutenants, etc. On that, did you want to quickly, because I know you have asked this question to me a million times, would you like to speak to the channel basically on the difference that you found in working with special forces as opposed to being the sharp end infantry on the ground. The myths, that they're bulletproof, that there's something about them. They're just driven individuals, normally workaholics,
Yeah.
that just cannot, disengage from the roles and responsibilities. And there's nothing wrong with that.
So many times when especially as an air dispatcher, you work over in Western Australia quite a fair bit, and with 2 Commander Regiment, they are our predominant customers, so to speak. So our role is very integrated with that community. And it was funny, being ex-infantry. There was a few guys in air dispatch that was ex-infantry, not many. I think I could probably count maybe 3, and of 100, 120, 130. And throughout my career, when I'd go over west or I'd go to Commander Regiment, some of my old mates who were ex-infantry, and some had been through the selection process of commandos, been a commando, and then had gone over to SASR, done the selection process, passed that, and now had become SASR.
Just never happy.
Just monsters, but very, very unassuming people. And obviously I'll never mention any names, but and it was funny. I would see him and go, "Oi," I'd be rigging a boat, and I'd go up and nudge him and go, "What are you, solar?" And I'm like, Dicko, and da-da-da-da. And at that time, I was a little bit chubby. I was a little bit, because the old wheels of the bus in the back and the knees and and they wouldn't recognize me, like, Dicko? Jesus.
There was a video when Dicko looked more like the knot in the center of a fucking tug of war. And but that died with the last channel.
Yeah. I had to make a change. I was like,
He'd done his back picking up a shovel-nosed shark. It was in our last channel.
God, I remember that.
They were druggos, those people.
So they were on the run from something.
I was about to swim across the river, the sign of manhood at the Sandon River, and this guy caught 4 sharks in half an hour, in this water where I'd grown up for the last 50 years going to. And Dicko's going, "You're not getting in the water, eh?" And I went, "Well, looks like it's getting a bit dark. I'll give it a miss." And he goes to pick up this shovel-nosed shark and whipped its tail. Bam, his back's gone. Then he's got to go home and try to tell his missus that he hasn't been playing up.
Yeah, I see there's a lot of comments coming through, and I'm just trying to go through.
There's a couple of good ones here. Well, Jackie Smith, how was the process of changing roles in the ADF, as I want to change to combat engineer after I do 4 years as a driver? Jackie, wait until you're actually in there first, because your life will change so much, and you may not want to change out of that. You might want to change to something else. You might want to go to aviation.
Combat engineer after I do. Yep.
MODE, is it mode? Kaz, this is Will. The same question. What are the characteristics you want from a nurse that is serving with you guys on the front line? Maturity, a calm head, keep the fuck out of our way, but also to be ultra fit. You can't be losing your cool. You're not part of the gunfight. You're not to come forward and try to pull people back. Your job is, Billy, don't be a hero. That's right. Your job is to stay back where the Sarge is and work, guys will get their buddy back to you, or you will move up a tactical bounds out of the firefight, because your knowledge is your weapon. Just like a forward observer, the radio is their weapon. They're not part of the gunfight. Just like the boss, his job is not to go and share the front line and get in the way of a section commander from leading his section. You've all got to have your place, but what we want from you is to have a cool head. Don't be scared of the sight of blood. You've got to be able to be very confident, very fit, and you need to be part of our organisation, just like a forward observer. We need you to understand where you are in your lane. Other than that, you're good to go.
Sorry, that guy that asked about who wants to be an air dispatcher, mate, give it a red hot go. And there is so much to learn. It takes at least 10 years to fully get your head wrapped around the entire concept of what it is to be an air dispatcher. It is a big, big, big job. It's like a tri-role. You've got to be efficient in all forms of transport. You've got to be efficient in all airdrop, all air land, anything to do with that, especially all the RAF, all their capabilities. It is a big job, a monster job, especially when you start going through the ranks.
I think one of the
That's a fulfilling job.
I think one of the hardest things you would have had to do as well, if you hadn't have got out of the army and become a shoe salesman for a
Paul's
little,
Warehouse.
for a little while.
Remember that?
But if you hadn't have had that gap, I think the hardest thing would have been is to drop the ego and not go into air dispatch with still when I was a grunt. That's the quickest way to piss off other corps, is to go from infantry to another corps and then keep bringing up what you used to be.
You know what? You make a good point there, but I will say this, and I was very appreciative of the time. I played the grey man, and I found that a lot of people at 176, as soon as they knew I was ex-infantry, well, the second that I put me on, donned on the uniform when I had medals and an ICB, once they knew, because they knew through Stuart Denman, who was also there anyway, Dicko is going to come in, he's going to be an air dispatcher. We both served together in 2RAR, bang. They already knew that I'd already been in. They already knew I'd done multiple operations.
Yep.
So I was lucky in the fact that I was already given that respect. You are what they call a retread. You're a person who's been in, been out, and has already gained knowledge. Even though I've completely no knowledge about the air dispatch world, I was given a lot of respect, which I greatly appreciated. So I sort of then slowly blended my way into the air dispatch world and was accepted very early on in the piece, whereas a lot of people that are junior soldiers coming through, a lot of junior soldiers actually who I went through basic the transport course, were all hanging around me. Oh, Dicko, what do we do? What do we do? And and I was still learning to be, in the transport world as well. But under my wings, I'd be like, okay, come with me. So it was good in that sense. I was given a lot of respect, and I appreciated that, and I took it on board.
Well,
and I didn't abuse, and I didn't.
There's a good bit of advice just fell out of that. What Dicko said is, you may not realise it, but your reputation starts at Kapooka, and it will travel on the ears and the tongues of those you work with. It'll go to Singo. You'll take your failures with you, and you'll take your victories with you. When you get to the battalion, sometimes we'll have heard of you before you've even turned up to the battalion. When you get to the battalion, you become a character. You become one of three people. You become basically you're there, okay, but you're not known as someone who's bad, but you're also not known as someone that's good. You're one of the celebrities of the battalion. You're like that NRL or AFL or soccer player that is essential for the team, but doesn't stand out in bad or good. What you do, they will know about you, righto? So you don't need to tell people what you are. Your actions will say it all. Your actions, what you do in the first few months, you need to be doing a second set of PT. You need to show people that it matters to you. If the guys are going out on the piss, even if you don't feel like it, you go out on the piss. You marry that platoon or that squadron or that organisation so they know you're a team player. You finish the very first activity you do, even if you get injured, you fight on, soldier on, so to speak, and you do not show weakness. And whenever you have anything to spare time, you start cleaning your weapon or you give a buddy a hand, but you keep your mouth shut for as long as you can, and word will get out. You've already overtaken a third of the people that are in your organisation, despite the fact that you should cherish the fact that you're a lid, which normally is at least for the first year.
Yeah.
But you can overtake someone that's been there for 3 years because you're already beating them with your capability and what you offer to that party, so to speak. So what I'm saying is, let your actions speak a lot louder than your words, and other people will fight your battles even when you're not there.
A lot of people too, when they get in there, they get real comfortable and they forget about what they're there for and what they're doing. And as I said before, when I left, my final speech when I left, when I was done and dusted at 176, I said, remember this, that patch you wear, that Australian ANF flag, that shirt you wear is just as big as someone representing Australia, as someone playing for their country, as someone playing as big as that. Do not forget that is how big that honor is. So many people get distracted by other peer influences that have had enough of their environment and start to pull other people in like a black hole. Do not, for people to join in like Brody, who's getting keen to join 176, do not get sucked into by those people and the power that holds. All right,
morale vampires.
Yes, do not stay focused. Be proactive. Do everything that you can to the best of your ability. Nominate yourself, put your hand in the air for everything, because those people are the ones that go on deployments. Those people are the ones that get noticed, and those are the ones that get put in promotional courses and go through the ranks. Do not get sidetracked by bullshit and all the drama that goes on, and it will go on in every single unit that you ever join. I can guarantee you. Yes, it's a job. Yes, it has, but it has all the same characteristics as every other job you've ever done in your life. So don't get distracted by the dickheads.
That's right.
Stay fucking clean, keep your head up, and crack on.
We've got a Nutsu Cow moment from Matty Dowsett. Nutsu Cow.
I'll do that. Hey.
Thank you. You can take turns. It's your first one. His phone is dead and he's got to go. Matty Dowsett, he's always with us, you know.
Thanks, mate. Much appreciated.
Very much appreciated. Before, when Dicko was explaining what was happening with his second trip to East Timor, for example, that operation, which saw an epoch change, we saw the Australian Army changed completely in every facet when it went from 90s to interfet into the year 2000, etc. Funny, with the start of a new century.
Big changes.
Our helmets changed, our weapons changed. Everything changed. But what was happening was that was the second tour that we had done together from the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Australian Regiment, you know, the best battalion on earth, of the best small army in the world too. Sorry, Kiwis. But that was part of the defense phase of war, so to speak. So what you've got is the advance, the attack, whether you fire rounds or not. That is the second stage, the second phase. Then you've got the defense, and then you've got the withdrawal. Well, we're at the defense stage. That is the sitting on your ass. That's not taking any more ground. That is getting into a rhythm, a routine, an operational tempo, which you would admit in 1999, when we were over there, your ass did not touch the ground. If you were on the toilet, people said, "What are you doing, you lazy bastard?" You're going, "What do you want me to do?"
Yeah, it was intense. I loved that. That was amazing.
But then it just, once we stopped taking ground and the Indonesian was did him out from the village, we'd kicked him out of the East Timor. Then basically what happened next was and stop. And you're like, what do we do now? And they're going, just do what you're doing.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yep, you could be here for the next 6 weeks without a radio. I'm not talking about communication. We had that. Drinking hot water under a hoochie with the same buffalo eyeing you off like Weinstein or Epstein. And you're just going, how fucking boring is this? And if you didn't have a missus and you weren't getting mail and you weren't getting biscuits, thank you, Lauren, for what you've done for all the guys that didn't get mail and goodies boxes, so to speak. That's why we laugh at people when they say they're going crazy from COVID. You're going, man, imagine being on
you don't know what
a pimple
is.
about being on a hilltop of one tree, you know, that you chop down for firewood on the first night, when they're then there for another 4 weeks.
It's the same picture magazine just getting rotated and rotated. You'd be like, oh my God, I've read this 16,000 times.
Dave D, shit faster. Oh God.
I just saw Tim B there talking about Mike Tyson's making a comeback.
He is making a comeback.
Holy God, does he look tight?
He does. Someone's going to be nervous about fighting him, you know. And I think the first person he fights, they're going to give him someone that maybe he's going to walk straight through, because the last thing you want as a marketer is to give someone like Mike Tyson, someone that might actually really stand up for him and give him a run for his money and potentially stop him straight away.
I'm on a couple of boxing forums and I was, oh my God, I just saw the Real Deal Holyfield had put out his video, and it was like it was like he was having an aneurysm. And I thought, please do not tell me that he thinks he's going to go in there with this insane new Mike Tyson. I'm like, please don't, man. He's already got it looks like he's already got a brain injury. The Real
Well, he's 10 years older.
He's 50. No, he's not. No, he's 58, I think.
Is he?
Evander, yeah, but he does not look like what Mike Tyson looks like at all. He looks like he's punch drunk. Anyway, that's another story.
Look, if you want to watch someone that, and I watched this today, and it was really, really amazing. I really loved it. For those that have put questions down here, how do I get the motivation to train physically to get ready for Kapooka, despite the fact that Kapooka is going to let you down physically at the moment because of the technicalities and the politics that are wrapped around that, the Mexican beer flu. Basically, you have to be fit before you go in there so that you don't get held back. Because I'm telling you now,
Reasonably fit.
yeah, but if you're going to infantry, you need to be
Be fitter than the
goddamn
rest.
fit
Be
because
fitter than the rest.
yeah, because even Singleton is going to have its own, oh shit, we can't do this, we can't do that. But you've got to remember
Yeah, true.
the battalions, 1st Battalion, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Battalion, okay, the 6th, okay, the 7th, 8, 9, you know, 5RR. Those battalions are still preparing for the WAR, you know, looking forward. If you turn up and you're a sack, you can't say, oh, but we didn't do much much fitness at Kapuka. We didn't do much fitness at Singo. It's not going to be enough. If you're an underperformer there, you can be looking down the barrel of a medical or administrational discharge or back-to-back torture in one of the hottest places in Australia until you get it right. And your section will make sure you train and that you come up with the goods. You don't get to go at your pace, you know. And there is no excuses in the battalion, especially when you're new. What's up? I love this name. From infantry, do you have to apply for commandos? Yes. And then SAS, yep, second branch. Or can you apply straight for SAS from infantry? Yeah, no, you can go straight from SAS from infantry. But to go to commandos, you have to have been through infantry. Now, we've got some of our good lads I was speaking to on the phone last night. And that was all about, you know, he's got a sporting background, footy player. You know, brother's a boxer. I won't mention his name on here like the dentist. He hasn't, may not want me airing that out while he's about to join. And basically, it was, what do you think about commandos? And I'm always going to stand by. It's a competition to get into special force, to get into commandos. You are going to have injuries that come from either Kapuka or from Singleton. You know, if you go for direct entry commandos, you have to not get back squatted for anything technical, not get injured, and not get sick. You've got to then go to Singleton and not get sick, not get injured, and not have a training shortfall. Because if you get back squatted, everything is off the table. You are no longer going there, and you have made yourself an insurmountable hill, Everest to climb. I don't want you doing that. I want you to be able to, when you make a journey for special forces, to be able to have an informed decision between whether you go over west to SASR or whether you go to Sydney and go for the 2nd Commando Regiment. And I want you to be able to make that based on a decision where you actually understand what's going on and the difference between the two, because you've already been versed and are ready, physically mature, you know, understand the language of weapons, understand the language of fieldcraft, how to hunt humans, you know, what it feels like, what your breaking points are, so you're not just guessing and assuming. And then you've got the better chance when you compete against other people like yourself to go to the sharpest edge there is. Now, I don't see SASR as the pinnacle. I see commandos and SASR two completely different roles.
Tyrone Morales, he's asking there, what's the major differences between commandos and SAS?
Well, commandos, without warning, their job is upgunned, basically super infantry, big groups that go in on known information, you know, that has come back from either intelligence or patrol reports about a known enemy location. Then they go in the dead of the night from a direction that's least expected and hit the enemy in either their toughest location or a chink in their armor. And from there, what should be is fired up actions that then take care of the squirters, those that have tried to get the hell away from the bonfire, so to speak. When you've got your SASR, the who dares wins, the guys that actually without basically you may not know they're there even after the subsequent military activities have happened, because they're more about reconnaissance more than direct engagement.
Correct. Yeah, long reconnaissance.
They're worth too much. They're worth so much money you cannot afford. Bat in the air, 100 people watching.
Counterterrorism, more leadership. Although both they
share roles.
More, yeah,
they share roles.
They flip it.
You know, I would say that your average guy at SASR is older than your average guy at Commandos. I would say your SASR, Commandos, NRL, SASR, Rugby Union.
Apparently, the average age, I think, don't quote me on this, of SASR is about 35.
That's fairly old.
That's the average.
One of the best inspirational things I watched today, and I started to show Aaron about this, was this nondescript looking, serious, beady-eyed guy. You may have heard of him before. And his name is Killian Jornet.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. I watched it today, and an offshoot of that, and I saw that from The Mountain Runner from Joe Rogan. But apart from that, I saw a guy called Jimmy Lang or something. Fantastic videos about you're given one body in your life. Is your role this entire life to keep it from any injury? Or is it to live life and use that body that you've been given to make it the best version of itself and live this life and get those injuries and get those scars, but be able to set up a set of trials and tribulations that you can look back and say to your kids, look, Dad's got nothing wrong with him, but didn't do a fucking thing his entire life.
Yeah.
Or you want to be able to go, that scars from this. This is when I got that. This is when I said no and she said, not tonight, buddy. Live your life. Stop trying to protect yourself.
Definitely.
Get the cotton wool off you. Pretend you got the Red Bull helmet on. Go in for it.
No dislocated earlobes here.
No.
No.
And this Killian guy ran. He ran up Mount Everest twice in 1 week.
It's crazy. How can you run it? I didn't, when you said that, I didn't believe you. It's true.
Until you see the video. Look it up. Killian Jornet. Last name E.T. on it.
Twice without oxygen, and would you say
was no ropes, no oxygen, and I believe his kit when he goes up there is four Snickers bars and 500 mils of water. No altitude sickness. Runs up there, come down. A couple of days later, ran up again, came down. Oh yeah, but maybe what else did he do? He's also broken almost every record with ultra fitness. And he's also run a normal marathon on flats in under 2 hours. That beats almost every Olympic record.
Crazy.
Insane. This guy is an axe. But they talk about the love of living, the love of wilderness. Amazing. So, Kaz, are you really at hours worth? We're on the half an hour here. Mr. P, for those that don't know, is our time auditor. And Lauren, I want to talk to you guys. I think that we're ready for another in blue moderator. I think we need one. All right. I might have a talk to you and Dave after. And see who you reckon might be a good person to throw in there. If you want to be a moderator, let us know. We've got a Nutsu cow moment down here. We've got Lachlan McDonald. Boxing is such a high learning curve. Yep. It was a healthy dose of ego check for me, and I miss it every day. I'm excited to hear you're a boxer.
I wouldn't say I'm a boxer anymore. Definitely not. Very short-lived. But, he makes a good point. It's it's a huge ego check. There is nothing like that adrenaline rush when you're in the ring. And the ring goes ding, and it's just you and the other dude.
But another thing, Lachlan. Wait 2 seconds. Hello?
I'll just keep chatting.
Hello.
Can you say hello to everyone? You're online.
Hi.
She's not homeschooling at the moment. She's at home. Darling, we're on live. I'm here with Aaron on his debut stream. I'm going to see you tomorrow morning, okay?
Can I just say something? Do you mind if I stay at my mum's house tomorrow morning? Tomorrow for the whole day?
Oh, that's okay, darling. You've got to be flexible. Okay. Can you call me in the morning and tell me why?
Because I just want to go to my mum's house and stay there for a whole day.
Okay, darling. I love you. I'll ring you in the morning. Say good morning. Say good night.
Good night.
All right, darling.
Bye-bye, darling.
You can tell I got a big snoz, and I've had it broken a couple of times from fighting. I actually had to get it refixed, but you can see. But for years, I couldn't breathe out this nostril from boxing and trying to run, especially running when you're trying to get air in. And I was actually on national TV many years ago doing the catapult party at Martin Place the very first time, and I had this. It was a day, I can't remember what it was for, but it was might have been Remembrance Day, and I had this camera right on my face, and obviously you've got your chin strap on, and your mouth is closed like that, and my nose at the time was like this, and so because my mouth is closed, and you don't want to be going. I'm a mouth breather. I got this camera.
I'm a mouth breather.
It's national TV, and I'm going, but I'm starting to actually run out of air. And I actually remember it's the closest I've ever come to fainting.
Yeah.
And the thing was, it was going to be a national TV because I was at. I can't remember if I was I was Port
Rest on
Arms.
Arms,
I was either rest. I can't remember. I was at something anyway. And I remember eventually just lifting my mouth and going, trying to get. I must look like a retard. I was trying to get so much, and I was like, "That's it. This needs fixed," and I'm glad I did.
Look who's here. We've got the amazing. He actually puts the food in our family's forks. James Collins down there, you can see in chat. He's a 1st Battalion. Okay, the big blue one. So she said. He works for DVA and has for a bunch of years. And James Collins, we hear people talk bad about DVA, but I'm telling you, without DVA and what people have done to help myself and people like Aaron Dixon, then our children would be in a really horrible position. So absolutely, not too cow to you, 100%,
mate. Much respect. I've had a lot of, I've had a couple of hiccups with DVA, but I think that's across board. But in general, overall, as the old saying goes, help me, help you. Especially, I'm always courteous to DVA on the phone. In fact, I was on DVA yesterday. And I know, things are not always perfect. And I always think about that person on the other line. I just think sometimes there's no point in me shouting down the phone. Not that I'm that sort of person anyway. But, yeah, I really appreciate what DVA do. And it's a tough job. Don't get me wrong. Things have been not right in the past. But I've noticed that there's been a lot of big changes with DVA. And they really have seemed to try to fix some of the bigger issues that's been happening in the past with soldiers.
But I'm sure, and I'm sure that James, I don't usually call him James Collins. We usually call each other mate. But I'm sure that behind the scenes, some of the biggest fights that happen within DVA are people within DVA with each other, saying you can't do this. We have people that absolutely fight on our behalf, but we don't see it. Okay. I know before I was out of the army, on the way out, and the family is saying, I can't do this anymore. Your friends still moving forward as you go backwards. I really, really considered, would it be better for my family just to end it all so that my superannuation goes to my family? And I think that's a common thought process for people. But for every thing that I saw that stood in my way, I kept a little bit of effort going, and people came from weird spaces and stepped in and helped. Phone calls came from ComSuper, from DVA, etc., where you got a bone thrown to you. And every time you thought you couldn't take any more, someone had clearly done a little bit more on a Thursday afternoon or a Friday. You got that news, and it was enough to let you hang on for a little bit longer. So if you watch this channel, if you're a veteran and you're having a hard time, reach out to us. Okay, we're not here just to listen to people's problems, because that will drag us into a position where then we go through our own problems, because we've got our own problems off camera. But this is our way of going from the caterpillar into the slug, creating something of beauty, in the absence of sitting in a pub and potentially drinking our sorrows away, and you can never drink enough to make them go away. So this is our proactive step forward.
Yeah, definitely.
To make sure we look after our families and re-engage in something else with passion after we've left the only career we ever wanted other than the shoe shop. And that's what we're doing. Mr. K. Glide, there you go, mate. So much great advice for us all. Thank you for the not too cow. We're a family here, mate. We're a family here, and you never know which one of you guys or gals is joining the army. Which one of you guys and gals has no one to listen to? Who wants someone to just put their hand metaphorically on their shoulder to stop them from spinning so they can get on with life, get a new bearing, and head off on it? We get nowhere near as many people giving us bad news as what we get good news. But it breaks my heart when I see someone who all they want to do is go out and work hard, do the hard yards, follow the footsteps of the Anzac, break away from normality, and then they get called short because of asthma, because of flat feet, because of bad back, because of epilepsy, because of their IQ that they can't affect. I hear and I really feel for you. And if I could say to someone, look, you can come and do work experience for me as a platoon sergeant. If they're any good, I'll swap you with Dickhead over there who takes his job for granted. That's not Dicko. I'm pointing down that way. Then I'd do it. It's not a perfect organisation, but I tell you what, we step out into the dark and we don't know when and if we're coming back. And it's a fantastic feeling.
I do now.
Yeah.
I put the light on.
You having a career like Simon Powell, to be able to look back on a career and actually go, I've had a career, I've lived my life, I've had a great time. If I was in now, there'd be people telling me, even if I wasn't out now, come on, mate, you've almost done your time, mate. Rome, you were only expected to do 20 years. If you had been in Gaul and you had been ransacked and then joined and become a Roman citizen, as an auxiliary, you were only expected to do 24 years. I did 24 years. So even if I was a goddamn filthy, unwashed, wine drinking, fucking cork sniffing, olive sucking Frenchman, I'd still be giving me discharge. You know what? I'd be giving some fucking slaves too, and that'd be bloody great.
You know what blows my mind?
Wash my dishes.
People who are like in the military for 50 years and 60 years, I think, holy shit.
Yeah, but they're never on the tools.
Yeah, true.
Let's get that right. They were in there for that long. Yeah, but you're not on the tools.
True.
Yeah. Mr. P, Lauren, Mrs. minus blue. I'm not sure what's going on there. Anthony, anyone know how Madison went with her PFA? Yes, I do. I don't know. What's happening with Madison is I'm not sure whether to let her tell you guys or whether to explain to you. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to bring it up on here. Okay. Let's just say a technical pass. Oh, a technical pass.
I'm out of the lip in that one.
Yeah. Jay Hayes, mine's always blue. What are they talking about?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It's going to take me a bit of time to catch up. I'm trying to look at this and listen and look.
Look, honestly, I'm normally doing this by myself. I think this
I don't know
is.
how you do it. I'm not trying to look at this, look at you, listen, read, look.
Blue healer, mate. I would love nothing better than to have a third person squeezed in here. So you've always looked like you've got a Titanic lifeboat full of people that are yapping back to you, because extra perspectives are fantastic. I hope you enjoy this. I hope that Aaron enjoys this.
It's been great so far. I apologize. I've read so many comments and gone, yep, and then I've forgotten. It's gone completely. I apologize.
A lot of the comments, just so you know, it's like from this side, a lot of the comments I see are like statements. Okay. When I see statements or I see people talking to each other, I go, okay. And I skip by that. Sometimes I get half a comment read, but every now and then, okay, at least once a page, there is a comment that deserves deep diving on. And that's what I do. I grab to those nuggets and I go bang, and then I go in deep on that one. You guys always throw me softballs. You give respectful answers. Lauren and the moderators do a great job of pushing the trolls back under the bridge. And we don't get many.
Cheers, mate.
We really don't get many, and it's great. Jackie Smith, what's your opinion on joining the age of 28, turning 29 this year? If you're going to join around 28, 29, that's fine. But what I recommend is you don't go to infantry. It's not fair. You'll take a lot of advantage with you being 28, 29, but you'll have a hard time on the maturity plane, where they may not want you with them. When you've got guys that are between the ages of 18 and 23 that are in the absolute fast lane, and then you turn up there and you've already got a missus and a family and you don't want to be one of the crew, or you're always giving them life advice and they just don't want to hear it, or you don't fit into them because you're an epoch older than them and you haven't grown up in the same sort of way, it can, it feels like you're meant to get an accelerated rank, but it can be hard for you to feel like you don't have as much in common for them. It's a tough one. Armored Corps, smaller group, more intimate, small team group, fantastic for older guys. Transport, great. Engineers, probably the best pick for someone around 28.
I just saw there, is it Kynan Pennell? Would you recommend a 33-year-old going in for a support role? Yeah, definitely. I'd also recommend too, at that age as well, going into a trade.
Yeah.
Because that way, after you've done your trade, you've actually got something in Civvy Street to fall back on, especially in around that age gap. That's a perfect age gap for a trade.
But if you're also a freak like myself, who is now very politically inclined, when you're older and you've got life wisdom, you've made mistakes. One of the beautiful corps you can go into is either signals or the intelligence corps. The intelligence corps has got a lot of jobs on the spectrum that go in there that mean you can have your head down and learning about geopolitical situations that are occurring, because our new rock stars aren't singers anymore. They're not sportsmen anymore. They've actually become, most of them, US politicians, or even some Australian politicians. If you want a voice, if you want to be around that, if you want to have conversations with serious people about serious subjects, intelligence corps is a fantastic one to go to. Yeah.
There's a young fella there, Lachlan M. He wants to, can you go into more depth about the grey man? Actually, it's a big one. It's pretty important.
The grey man is the guy that doesn't stand out. He's in the crowd. You don't notice him. He doesn't talk much. He's usually not the fittest. He's not the unfittest. They're just there. So they sort of slip underneath the radar. You don't see them. They're the grey man. They're a blip, and that's it. But you can't accidentally be the grey man. It's more who you are.
Yeah.
You cannot change when you're under extreme stress and fatigues and opportunities to shine in a lack of peer-on-peer leadership. You can't just be a son of a bitch that just sits back and lets the plane crash, so to speak. Your leadership will climb to the top and you'll go, let's grab this. You'll grab the log. You'll grab the extra bit of equipment with me. Go fast, or you'll be the one that comes down the bottom. So the grey man is normally not there by choice, but it can be.
It's the man that doesn't stand out.
Yeah.
You can stand out in many different ways within the military. You don't want to be, as Kaz said at the beginning of this post, that you don't want to be the guy that's not the one that's proactive, not the one that's, you're the one that's always fucking things up for everyone else. You don't want to be that guy, because as soon as you start being that guy, you nearly marked for life, because those characteristics will then continue on throughout your career and you get ostracized and pushed aside. And I'm not saying that, I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying that sometimes that happens. What we're saying is that the grey man is the quiet man that gets the job done, does not question authority, does not go outside the normal of what's happening within this little box of Kapuka, which, to be honest with you, is not the real world. It's just it's a game within a game. And that game is to play the game, to get what's required of you, to get it done. You don't have to be the best at it. Don't be the worst at it, but just be somewhere in between.
There's a good question too from Nathan Stevens, and we cover this ground quite often. Do signals officers have much use outside the army?
It's a very good question.
But it's easy to answer.
It is. It's a very good question.
You guys, I don't think you understand that when people say, but what does the army give you when you get out? Fucking everything. What does being an officer give you when you get out? It gives you man management skills in extremely tested environments. When you go to any business, you'll have people that are subject matter experts in that role. The CEO knows nothing about it nearly 100% of the time. His job is about project management. His job is about personnel management. He doesn't have to know any of that. When someone turns up as an officer and they get poached by many, especially entrepreneurial companies, and remember, most billionaires never did university. They're just people that are very good at entrepreneurial vocation, so to speak. When an officer leaves the military, they're already an intelligent person. Okay. They've already got now a background of leadership. When they go into a job role and they know how to dress, they know how to speak, they know how to fake it, and they have background experience working with a complex team of males, females, multi-gender, multi-religion, a diverse community in adverse conditions, in charge of millions of dollars of machinery, in a time-compressed environment, they're a goddamn asset to anyone. The only question I would ask if I was a signals officer or an employer of a signals officer is, I'm a little bit intimidated by you, because I'm wondering myself, the fact you're an officer means you've already want to be a captain of the ship. Do you want to be a captain of this ship? Is my job in danger? If I give you the job, am I going to end up calling you goddamn sir one day? That's it. To the winner goes the riches. When you go to the military, when people find out that they are going for a fucking stop
Jesus.
it. Never won a boxing match in my life, but you've got to look at the dog in the fight. I'll give you an example. I'm going to give you an example. Sometimes people go, oh, but what does the army give you when you get out? University, for starters, gives you fucking nothing unless you're going to stay in that role. Okay, you went to university. You paid your HECS bill off. Big deal. You don't impress me much. Shania Twain. My buddy was in the military and they'd done several operations with me. I'm the godson. I'm the godfather of his son. And he's a WOG. So that makes me part of the family. When that guy went for a job interview, and he's been out of the army for more than 10 years now, and he was going for this in the biggest shopping center in the Southern Hemisphere. I don't want to mention his name now, in case one of them is watching. Basically, it came down to him and these intellectuals, and they were trying to sort them out from the crowd. Which one do I want to be with? And it had absolutely nothing to do with what was on the paper. Don't give a fuck about it. Use it to start a fire in winter. Don't give a shit. Burn pit. Light a firecracker. Fish wick. Double standards. Basically, what occurred was he spoke to them and he mentioned something to my mate who said something about military to someone else. And they said, were you in the military, mate? And he's like, yeah. Oh, did you happen to go overseas? Yeah. Twice. What did you do in there? Infantry. Wow. That's awesome. The guy had a connection with him because he was different. Different is better than good. So he looked at this guy and probably thought, there's 3 or 4 people exactly the same in the short list. Yeah. Well, that guy is awesome, but don't want to have a beer with him. That guy's awesome. Couldn't have a cup of coffee with him. That guy, I want to know more about him. You want to be around a team of people. The job is just a job.
Mm.
The people you're around, you go to engineers because you want to be around the people that are like engineers. You go to SASR because you just can't sit down and you want to be around those people, always looking for the Red Bull helmet moment. You hang around the good-looking guy because you know he's going to be like a trawler, just going through there, good-looking girls coming off at his wake, and then caught one.
And there is some goddamn good-looking roosters over there.
Some good-looking sons of bitches. It's not fair. They've been given all the man points. Team, never listen to someone when they say the military gives you nothing. It gives you so much. Oh, by the way, that guy's got that job. He beat everyone. Yep. And he's been promoted since then. And that all happened in the last year.
It's a very, very, very competitive world.
Yep.
Very competitive.
Yeah. When you say, because secretly inside almost every single bloke, they thought, oh, I'd love to be in the army. But what would I do? Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite true. Such is life.
Make yourself the best version of you, and then you're able to do any goddamn fucking job.
That's the best way. The best version of yourself.
Yep, the best. You look at some of those people, even as a dude, you look at a guy, sometimes you go, look at that guy. How many fucking brownie points has he got?
Yeah.
You feel like you just want to talk to him. You go, he looks like an interesting dude.
Yeah.
What are you so confident about?
The best soldiers I've ever worked
You want
with
to be that guy.
in my whole life are all in special forces right now.
But
when they were soldiers, like when I'm talking about as in like young officers, young diggers, these are now senior leaders within special force elements, both over in the West and here in Sydney. They were literally the best soldiers I had ever seen in my life operate. I looked at them and went, holy shit, that is some standard.
And they're always good people too.
Yeah. Always.
because you're not going to last there if you're a dickhead.
Yep.
You know,
Always.
yeah, they're what do you call it? It's not their job. These people would have succeeded everywhere. They either would have been Olympians, they would have been CEOs,
Yep.
or they would have been special forces operators.
Yep.
You know, and they can
would
probably
agree
do
with
all
that.
three, some of them.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and they're so humble. It makes you feel angry because it's so easy to think, oh, look at those guys, they head up their ass. No, they don't. They don't. They'll get up early if you ask them for a hand. Yeah, okay, mate. What time do you want me to help you? They love animals. They love their family. You know, they're down-to-earth dudes. They love watching sports. You know, they're not sitting there eating quinoa with rice and tofu. They like a burger and a beer like anyone else. Yeah. Okay, Mr. P, he's off. Not too cow, Mr. P. All the best, sir. Good to have you here. And I might even have a shave for you soon. We might wrap this up soon because Aaron has still got to drive back to Richmond, and I don't mean Melbourne.
All right.
Okay. Peter Cram, the gap year starts in January. Mate, I'm going to get selected for next year. All right. I'm not a fan of gap year, but there's a lot of reasons for that. And that's more looking after you because you've done all the hard work at Kapuka, all the hard work at Singleton, and then you don't really know what it's like to be a soldier yet, and you're already getting out of the army.
Yeah, it's too quick. I don't like it. I don't like the concept.
Commit yourself.
No, in fact, I don't know anyone that I ever worked with that really liked that concept.
I've never had a gap year. I like it in the fact that, you know, it's like national service sort of thing. But what I believe should happen, I think the Army Reserve in some ways should be dissolving into some third form where you have Army Reserve, regular Army, and somewhere in between is a force around Australia that has permanent work, that's under the pay grade of regular Army, that's there, doesn't always have a weapon around them, but can wear an Army uniform to get that pride, to give people a second chance. But one of the obligations is they have to move state to get away from the demons of their past.
It's almost like dancing around that inactive reserve thing.
Sort of,
it's like that inactive reserve, but it doesn't really do anything. It's just there for, because you have all these skill sets, it's only there for major war breaks out. Boom.
But not even that.
You know,
not even that. Not necessarily trained even as a combat soldier.
Oh no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying whatever your background was.
Yeah.
You know, but in saying that, with that gap year scenario, you're exactly right. It should be slotted in somewhere between that reserve element and that full-time element, but it's always there. But you have a requirement that you must still continue with some form of training for some part of the year. Not as heavy as reserves, but some sort of formal connectivity to keep that element or that skill set at least half alive. If that makes sense.
I just feel like Army Reserve is not enough for a lot of people that go to Army Reserve, but they may not be able to give any more time than what they give to go to regular Army and then get swept away potentially to another state to leave everything behind. But they've got the family, they've got qualifications that are good for Australia.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like our army is too small. Hey, Haley, how you going, dear? It's been a long time. How are you going amongst the Mexican flu at the moment? Hope you're doing well on the ACT. You guys are the first to get a clean bill of health, I heard. Yeah, I feel like our army could be bigger, but at the same time, firepower and locating an enemy or threat, is more important than the size of the force that drops a hammer on them, because now it's about surgical precision than what it is just sending people out with a limited amount of detection agency.
Population size will always dictate that anyway.
We can get up to 2 million soldiers like that. If you don't believe that, we got to over 400,000 in World War I. Back in 1914, we ended up with over 400,000 people from a population of 4 million.
Yeah.
So if you don't think that we couldn't get up to 2 million or 4 million, the difference being, would you volunteer, or would you wait until you were conscripted? What would be the red line where you had to look at your family and said, I can't watch on anymore? it's time to put the boots on. And I'm not talking about someone who's 18 or 19, 16 or 17 that would go, this is the big adventure, I'm in. I'm talking about someone who's 28 years old, who has a beautiful daughter, who still loves his wife, who has a great job and says, not on my watch, I'm sorry, love, I've got to go. What would that be? Because I don't think it'd be the plight of another country anymore. It'd have to be Australia's in danger. We've got, I haven't seen your name before, Jay-Z. Kaz, it's the hardest name to say. I found a place to get the education requirements for the Army. Should only take 2 to 3 months. Got any tips for me? Do it and let us know. Guys and gals, if you ever decide the best thing you can do, honestly, is don't worry about donations on here. Get on Patreon. Get on our bat phone. And then from there, you can have one-on-one conversations with me. So as a question comes up, when a situation arises that you need an answer right now, you actually have a number. You can go, Kaz, this is happening. What can I do? You can even do the international distress signal. What is it? Team America?
I was like, what?
Just send a quick video of you doing that and I'll answer it. That's the best thing you can do.
He'll always answer calls, Dang.
Yeah. Joseph Barker, Hannibal Barker, the enemy of Rome. Hey, Kaz, can't wait for full-time inventory next year. Not too cow. That hurt. Okay. Can't say that. So it didn't hurt, really. I was just testing.
He's weak as piss.
Like I said, I've lost every boxing match I've ever had and every street fight. I have no respect for someone who only went into the fight so they could win. I went in and I lost every one. That takes grit. If you saw some of the size comparisons of the people that have bashed me, you'd be going, Kaz, what were you thinking? But equity and diversity. I let a white guy kick the fuck out of me, and I let a black guy bash the shit out of me. He was American.
Which one? Where was this? Hawaii?
No, that was a battle outside Tats. I don't know if you if you knew about that one, Lauren. It happened in 1995, and basically what occurred is it's the biggest street fight I've ever seen, and I was part of it, and I was looking from the ground up. Basically, what happened was when the boys come back from Rwanda, there was over 1,000 Americans in town, Marines, and we'd taken over the entire club, and of Tats, and we were in there, and an American came in, started some shit with Lumpy, and Lumpy's a good boxer, and Lumpy came out looking like a fucking pepperoni pizza with blood spots everywhere, and Saini, God bless his soul, got killed in Iraq. He went up there and gave, a combination on this guy. It spilled out in the street. Back in those days, mate, if you came out of a fight, a big one, and you didn't have some sort of injury or busted up knuckles, then people would think you mustn't have joined in, and you'd be in trouble the next day at work, and you might have to lift your hands again for a job. So Kaz went out there, ripped the buttons off his $7 shirt. Might have been from Lowe's. And I had a missus at the time. She goes, you go out there. We're about to get married. I'll leave you. Got to be in it to win it. So I heard the fox whistles. I went out there. And all you had to do was grab one Marine and start punching on. If we've got any Marines out there, okay, no disrespect, but I thought you can't be seen to pick the smallest, And so as I went to run away, he opened his mouth and I realized there was a person there. Black, get it? And he was a big boy. And I looked up and he's looking down and my hands came up like a meerkat. And unlike the, what do you call it? The mongoose that takes down the cobra. No way. You heard this guy like, get over here and just boom.
Punish him.
Yeah, punish him, all right. And Kaz went down, and I tell you what, bitumen tastes like shit. And I looked like I had a stroke mixed with cerebral palsy, mixed with getting off the Gravitron, with heartburn. I had no senses. I was all over the place.
Yes.
And this guy, to his credit, he didn't finish me off. He just looked down at me like a pathetic individual on the ground. He bashed his Anzac, but he made a mistake. He looked at me too long. Then Bunga Kingley grabbed him and he filled him in. And I went inside. There was blood all over me clothes. And the reputation was Kaz, Plummer, who was a good boxer as well, is going, Kaz, you knocked out 2 of them, and then I saw you had another one by the shirt, and boom, boom. I'm going, there's only one of me, mate, and that didn't happen. That's fake news. That might be the first fake news that's ever been recorded.
Love it.
Love it. And the next day, there it was, all of these guys with their faces like this, and the Marines copped it a hell of a lot worse than us. And the arms went up, and we were granted the win. You know who lost the most that night? Cops. Some police tried to get too close, and they got the fuck smacked out of them.
Wild.
Yeah, some undercover cops.
Seen that happen before.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Possum. All I'll say is his nickname. Possum cleaned up a cop so badly he'd be still in jail now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you got to do what you got to do.
Different era.
So Australia won that day, team. G'day, Kaz. Hey, Cranky, how you going? Dane, the great Dane. Zachary. Austin RN, man, got to go for it. Don't wait. You'll only regret going sooner when you get in. Look, I've never met anyone that regretted being in the army. That should be a message in itself to you guys and gals out there. Have you ever met anyone that's regretted it?
No, never.
Have you met many people that regret getting out?
No.
I've met fucking shitloads.
Oh, regret getting out?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was actually thinking about something. No, I was actually thinking about the oldest person. I had a guy who was 40.
Anthony O'Neill.
No regrets.
Kaz, what's the worst experience you've had in defence? Naturally, there has to be seriousness. Mate, to tell you the truth, the very worst thing that has ever happened in my life, some of it was connected to my actions, but it definitely has to be being a bystander while watching Black Lives Not Matter with Black Lives in Rwanda, being upgunned, up-trained, led by some great people, and being in a location, sharing a postcode, so to speak, at Kabayo with Zambian soldiers, and looking on the faces of despair of people that we were there to watch, monitor, but not help. They weren't part of our roles of engagement to protect. And to be able to be there for that, and then go away to a convoy to a secure environment, and then come back the next day and do it all over again, and look at humans that have absolutely lost hope, to see the disrespect, to leave civilians in the hands of savages with absolutely no moral compass, is the worst. To have seen the worst of humanity, you can't come back from that. That is not atypical of what happens. It is a very typical thing that happens in asymmetric warfare, whether that be Afghanistan, whether that be Iraq, whether that be Rwanda, whether that be Cambodia, etc. It's not like a peer-on-peer conflict where both people are ruling for rules of engagement. One of the worst things that ever happened, people congratulate Lady Di. She fucked up. She wanted to get rid of landmines. You're going, you just got rid of us using landmines, but not the bad guys. So what happened is, when conventional forces under Geneva Convention aren't allowed to
So. Which I think is a better parasite. And I think it's 68
outstanding. Everyone's been talking about it for the last minute or two.
That is ridiculous.
Maybe just
No way. So the whole thing is again. Why probably wouldn't occur so much? I don't know. That is fucking bizarre.